Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is John Bunn and I am very excited to bring this topic to you today. A lot of you have been sending me messages about my recent Instagram episodes, what I'm doing to book weddings, kind of just the transparency of going from last year only having 7 bookings to now filling my calendar. And so today I was going to talk about my process for booking $10,000 plus clients and just kind of break down what I've been doing, show you some of my numbers, show you how many bookings, what my averages are, just so you can see what I've been doing and break down just some of my mindset towards what I've been doing to build a brand that is getting me over $10,000 average bookings. And so if you're booking $30,000, $40,000 weddings already, good job. I've done a couple of those, but that's not where I'm at. And I will also say that a couple of years ago, I was really starting more in like the $15,000 to $18,000, $19,000 range. And I've had to bring that price down just because the market has shifted for my types of clients. And so I'm going to get deep into that today. So buckle up. We're going to have a good time. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about my friends over at howtofilmweddings.com/outsourcing. If you need help outsourcing your wedding films, if you're stuck in backlog or you just hate editing, you definitely want to head over to howtofilmweddings.com/outsourcing. This is your one-stop shop with proven and vetted vendors to help you edit your wedding films. We've got brands like Bride and Groom Video and many more over there at howtofilmweddings.com/outsourcing. So before your season gets too busy, check out the vendors, yes, over at howtofilmweddings.com/outsourcing. I am hosting a workshop in Oklahoma City on April 30th at a venue called the Bomberhof. It's a one-day workshop. It's a John Bunn Films workshop, where I'm just going to be digging into these topics on a deeper level during the first half of the day, defining your ideal buyers, learning how to really attract them with social media, all that kind of stuff. So if you struggle with your business, you might want to consider heading out to Oklahoma City for that. And then the second half of the day, we're actually doing some styled shoots at this venue called the Bomberhof. It's like this European garden venue. It's really cool. There's lots of indoor spaces and outdoor. We've got models lined up. I've got luxury planners. This building out different things like head tables and ceremonies and cake tables and flat lays and all that kind of stuff so you can build your portfolio. And it starts at $695. That's where it's at, johnbunnfilms.com/workshop. If you want more information, I've got some promo codes, some early bird codes, things like that might still be available on the website. So be sure to check that out. This is for photographers and for videographers and content creators, but the content that you're going to get in the first half of the day would work if you were a planner or things like that too. So, tried to make it very affordable, to pay for the venue, the shoots, different things like that. I'm not going to be making much money, if any, off of it. I'm doing this because I want to serve the audience. And so I'm trying to do more one-day workshops. I'm looking at one in the fall in Boston, and then maybe one in Arizona in May or June. So stay tuned for those. If you want to do like a one-day workshop that's under $1,000, where you can update your portfolio, get some new headshots, learn. So just wanted to throw that out there. Okay. So my process for booking $10,000 clients, $10,000 plus. Like, I don't think that this just happens in the wedding video world, or the wedding photo world. I think you have to have some things in place to actually make that happen. And so the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to give you some stats for me for this year, 2025. As of the recording of this episode, I have 18 weddings booked, and the total amount of revenue from those 18 weddings is, let me look here, $196,500 in bookings, and that is before travel fees. I do those separately, and so there's probably another $15,000 or $20,000 of income from people paying for resorts or airlines or things like that I have not booked into or baked into the price. This year I've been doing a lot more. Some of the weddings I've done where it's like the travel would be included in the package, but for the most part, I tell people that I'll be booking flights and they'll help me book lodging and stuff like that. So anyway, I have 18 booked for $196,500. All 18 of the bookings have video, and 5 of those have photo and video. I added photo last year. I have 5 photo weddings booked for this year and a couple for next year. But with those numbers, my average booking price for this year is $10,916 and change. And that is down from 2 years ago. My average booking was more in the 14 or 15,000, but that's just where I'm at. So I just wanted to give you where that's at, as I've kind of calibrated for my market, not being willing to pay as much as they were a couple of years ago. And I have a lot of episodes about that back 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago about why I've lowered prices and things like that. If you want to hear more about that, just because as an educator, sometimes I feel like a fake or an imposter if it's like, ooh, I had to lower my prices. But I just want to give you the freedom to know that that's okay from time to time. And if you're not self-aware, and we'll talk about self-awareness in this episode of where you're at in your market, and if nobody's booking you, you might need to lower your prices. And so, my average booking is almost 11,000 this year. My highest booking, for this year, another stat, is 19,500. And that is an Oklahoma wedding that they're doing both video and photo. And so I'm having one photographer, one videographer, excuse me, and one hybrid shooter. And so what that looks like is I'm going to be leading photo. I'm bringing Blake, the editor, to lead video. And then I have my friend and also lead shooter, Joel. It's kind of going to be going between the two, helping me when I need photo help, helping Blake. And so I was able to give them, a really great deal. 19.5 for both of that's a lot of money, and adding photo has really helped me to be able to book some of these higher paying weddings. My highest video only wedding is 16,900 plus travel for a wedding in November. And then my lowest booking this year is 5,250. And that wedding I booked an associate shooter to shoot it for me. And I'm helping a planner friend out. She had a videographer back out and asked if I could help. And this is the same planner that has helped me book the $17,000 wedding for this year. And that $5,200 wedding is one shooter, 8 hours of time, and a 6-minute film. So it's just like a very basic thing. And it's going to be great. And the venue's fine and everything's going to be good, but it's just more, let me help this planner out. And so that's kind of where I'm sitting this year. 18 weddings booked, right at 200,000. But that hopefully sets up just kind of where I'm at and what I'm doing. The thing I really want to talk about today is my process for getting and booking $10,000 weddings, and $10,000 plus. That might, this might help you think about how you could book your first $5,000 wedding, or, that number doesn't really matter so much as like the details that I'm going to give you will help you take your brand hopefully to the next level. And after 19 wedding seasons, I have seen that this works. And so, I'm going to just break it down for you, if that's okay. So, first things first, you have to have a solid brand. I can't tell you enough how important it is to have a brand that speaks directly to the people you want to work with. And to start with your brand, you really need to determine who your ideal buyer types are, the kinds of people you want to work with. And you might say, John, I don't know that. The quicker you can figure that out, the quicker that you're going to be able to talk directly to them and start booking higher weddings. And so what I would encourage you to do is take out a piece of paper or think through weddings that you've been to that you just hated and you didn't like them, you didn't enjoy them, and write out why. What is it? Was it the location? Was it the couple? Was it the planner? Was it not expensive? Did it feel cheap? Did it feel too expensive? Like, there's no right or wrong answer, but determining what you don't like will help you determine what you do like. For me, with John Bunn Films, like, I have done weddings for celebrities. I've done weddings all over the place. And I have found that, to me, I like working with couples that really care about their video and photo, and they're not just booking it because that's what their planner said to do. And so that kind of limits me to getting up into a luxury type market, but maybe not in like an ultra luxe market. Nothing wrong with that. But I decided several years ago that I know the people that are going to hire me they're going to want to interact with me before the wedding. They're going to care a lot about their wedding video, their wedding photos, and they're going to have to love my work. The idea that the couple really needs to be into each other is really important to me. And so like the more that I determined who I want to work for and with, the more that it helped me craft a brand around that. So I hired copywriters. I hired somebody to design a new logo, a new website. Maybe you can't afford that quite yet. I would heavily encourage you to figure out what you can do now to help elevate your brand. But once I did that, I was able to figure out how to once I figured out who my ideal buyers were, I was able to figure out how to build a brand that is appealing to them. So everything changed. My logo, my brand voice, the way that I wrote emails, the fonts, the color palettes, the imagery, everything matters so much more than we realize. We think, oh, if we just have really good work, that's enough. And maybe that is for some of us, some of the unicorns. But for me, I knew I needed John Bunn Films to really match whenever somebody found me, whether on social or on my website or through a referral, that they would say, whoa, this guy is good. He is relatable. I can see him on the website. I can see how much he cares, and the work is really good. And so that's step one on my process for having now booked a lot of 10K plus weddings. The second thing is my social media. It has to be solid. And if you haven't listened back to my episode on how I've been doing Instagram in 2025, a couple episodes back, I would highly encourage you to do that. But my social media is also filtered through that brand identity. I'm not making posts about my dog, or I'm not making posts about, random stuff. I am trying to appeal to that ideal buyer type, or that area of people, the people that care about nostalgia and they care about their memories, and that kind of stuff is important to me. So my social media is going to show clips that do things like that pull people in. They're not going to show just crazy raging parties, because that's fun, but not typically my couple. And so social media has to be a serious thing that you do. You have to take it more seriously, and it should not be an afterthought. Your social media should scream to your ideal buyer. If it's vanilla and it's just kind of like, yeah, it's pretty, there's nothing memorable about it, they're just going to see more wedding imagery whenever they see you. What are you doing to stand out? What are you doing to show them your face on social? What are you doing to stay consistent on your stories? Or, I think about TikTok and Instagram specifically. But if you're not thinking, what does the brand of fill in the blank look like on social media, and you're not putting together a plan for that, I don't think that you're going to get to a point to where you're booking $10,000 weddings, unless you're really good at some of these other things that we're going to talk about. So, the first thing is your solid brand. The second thing is a solid social media plan, and dig in to screaming to your ideal buyers. I can't tell you that enough. Stay consistent over everything. Be consistent on social media. Keep showing up. Show people your face. They want to see you. They want to see what you're like. And, the only exemptions for that are going to be people that are just extreme luxury, might have a different plan for how they show their faces. And I still think no matter where you are, you need to be showing up, because people are going to remember you, and they want to know who you are to see if they want you at their wedding. If all you are is a faceless corporation and all you are is just pretty wedding films, you're going to get vanilla budget. You're going to get, it's like a solid budget, but you're never going to take it to that next level where people are raving about you. So social media is very important. Definitely listen to some of the episodes about what I'm doing in social media, steal from that, and hopefully it will help you. Next thing is networking. I spend a lot of time on social media and in person doing networking events. And to me, I think networking is the key to consistently getting bookings. It takes time and it takes consistency. And so to me, networking is one of those things that if you're a short-term thinker, if you're playing checkers, if you're thinking only one move ahead, networking is just the thing you keep putting on the back burner. And I would encourage you, maybe you're a single mom, maybe you have a bunch of kids, maybe you have another job, maybe you have a backlog, whatever. Invest in networking. Wherever you're at, find what you can do to network one time a month. What does that look like? Does that mean that you can travel across the country to an event? Does that mean you can go to coffee with a photographer friend of yours and maybe one of their friends? Does it mean there's a local networking group you could join and be part of? Does that mean that you're only able to network on social media? Whatever. Like, don't put that on the back burner. You need to be sowing those seeds so that in the future you will be reaping that harvest. I feel like I sound like a Bible verse there, but you kind of get the point. I mean, it is very similar in the fact of like you're sowing these seeds and over time they will sprout. And so networking is very, very important. I want to tell you a story about a planner friend of mine that is amazing. She does incredible work, and I work with her a lot, and over the last couple of years, I'd been traveling a lot more, and I just reached out to her in the fall and just said, hey, just so you know, I connected back with her. How are things going? I really love to do some more Oklahoma events. I'm adding photography. I just want you to be aware, if you have any events that need photo or video or anything, just let me know. And she reached out to me a month or so ago and said, hey, I've got a client that's interested in booking with you. They have this much budget. And I said, whatever the budget, I'll take it. I want to work with you and show you, it's like, I love working with you. So I gave them a very, very good deal. I mean, still going to make good money. But for a beautiful wedding this summer at a country club, it's my ideal buyers. It's great. So I said yes. And I hooked them up with $5,000 or $6,000 off. They look great to their couple. A couple weeks later, she's like, hey, there's this baby shower happening at a house, and I'm wondering if you could take photos of it for me. My photographer backed out, and I said, absolutely. I would love to. And she said, great. And I came early. I stayed late. I gave her a bunch of photos. I told her it was free. She actually sent me a gift card to a hotel for me and my wife to go on a getaway, which I did not ask her for, but I am just taking care of her, not because I need anything, but because she's my friend and I just want to stay in front of mind. And then I did an open house the other day at the Philbrook Museum in town, and she was there, and I had my camera. I took a bunch of photos of her tablescapes and got them to her and just took care of her. And the networking side of things, I've just stayed in front of her. She's actually got an open house event tonight that I'm going to just to check out, at her studio. And yesterday, one of her assistants was like, hey, what is your schedule like the first weekend of October? We've got another couple. We're looking to book them. They have a great budget. And I think that if I hadn't networked and reached out, none of that would have happened. And I think that just staying in front of people on social media, having a brand that's solid, like, they don't want to refer people to me if they're going to send their bride to a website that's crappy, or they're going to send their bride to my social media and it's just wonky and crazy. They want somebody they can trust. And so networking is just so stinking important. And a lot of us think we'll get to that when we get caught up on our backlog or whatever. And so step one for me was a solid brand. Step two was solid social media. The third thing is networking. And then the fourth thing is my work has to be incredible. I think some of us get stuck on just one of these four ingredients to the recipe. And, my brand is awesome, but my social media sucks, or I haven't networked at all, or my work is just kind of suffering. And I'll talk more about this later, but you don't have to be amazing at all four of these things. But these four ingredients are, to me, what make up the ability to get these $10,000 bookings. Your Rolodex is important. Who knows you? Are you staying in front of them on social media? When they come to your website, is it a solid brand? And then when they start to look at your work, does it do anything for them? Does it feel crappy? Does the audio sound bad? Does the color not speak to your ideal buyer? All these little things add up to an experience that you're creating. And you don't have to be perfect at any of these, but you have to be aware, self-aware where you're at, and you have to take steps to get better. A few years ago, 2019, I think it was, or 20, I was still shooting auto white balance. I had no idea what log meant. I'm teaching how to film weddings and I don't know how to do these things. That kind of thing. And Nick was just always like, dude, we got to get you on learning color. And I was like, I will get there. I'm just not ready yet. And over the last 5 or 6 years, I have really dug into color grading, and now I understand what 10-bit is and log footage and how to color grade and how to use scopes and how to use all these different tools, not because I honestly even care about color that much. And some of you purists out there are going to be mad at me, but I knew that if I couldn't provide that luxury, nostalgic look that I loved, and I saw other people do that work, it's like, I want my work to look like that. And I had to learn how to get better at color and get better at storytelling and get better at editing. And all these things had to make sense and had to point towards, this is a $10,000 brand. If any of these things don't say that, you're going to lose out on the booking. And as you get higher priced, the competition, if someone's going to drop 10,000 on a wedding, they better have a freaking good experience with you. You better be good at customer service. You better be good at connection. You better be good at networking and your brand and your social media and all these things so that they see the value that you bring. If you just show up, throw everything on auto in your business, not just on your camera, it's like, I've got a website. I just built it with Wix or whatever, and I had a friend make a logo for me. I don't really care about it. I've already got 30 weddings, but they're all cheap weddings. You're just going to keep going around and around in a carousel. And what we want to do is to each year we go around, we want to be elevating up each year, an upward cycle instead of just a residual cycle in our business. And so your work, you have to look at your work and say, is this good enough to charge 5K or 10K? And what course do you need? What mentor do you need? What questions do you not have the answers to that you need to be able to take your work to the next level? And really any of these 4 things. And a lot of people that I see that are struggling are waiting. They're waiting until they have the money to spend the money, or they're waiting to do the social media till they have the time, or do the networking when they have the time, or get better at editing when they have the time. And the problem with that mindset is that you are never going to make a dent. You're never going to take action. And what you need to do is determine what is the next big thing you need to be doing right now and start fighting for it, because nobody's fighting for this stuff for you. And this is the thing that kind of irks me. And I get passionate about it because I get to talk to hundreds and if not thousands of wedding filmmakers. And I can tell people immediately that are action takers and people that are just going to wait until something happens for them, just in the way that they talk, the way that they communicate. And they're like, oh yeah, I don't have any bookings. I don't know what's going wrong. And it's like, they're not making a mess. They're not figuring things out. They're not failing fast. And you have to, in this kind of business, you have to be laser focused on taking another step every single day. And if you fail, learn from it, grow from it, and keep moving forward. All right. I'm coming down off the softbox, off the soapbox. I got a softbox above me. So a couple of things. When you do all of these things correctly, when you have social media that works, when you have your brand working for you, when you're networking, when your work is really good, when you do all these things correctly, you will start to get noticed. It will take time, but you're going to start to get noticed and you're going to start to get inquiries. And most people screw up the process once they start getting inquiries. And so I want to talk to you about what I do when I get an inquiry and how I take steps. And again, I have episodes for a lot of these things. Last week, I think a couple weeks ago, I did a discovery call episode, things you're missing, just all kinds of episodes in the last few weeks. So make sure to not miss those. But number one thing I do when I get an inquiry is I'm responding quickly and in a brand voice that speaks directly directly to my ideal buyer. I'm not saying, sup, how goes it, my homie? I am responding with a John Bunn Films type. I'm thinking of my ideal buyers when I'm communicating. And so I'm not putting 1,000 exclamation points. I'm not putting a ton of emojis. I've got an image of me embedded in a nice signature in my email so that people see, okay, this guy is personable, relatable. He's giving us his phone number. He's excited, but he's not using, slang words, and not just me. And maybe your brand is like, that's exactly what you should do. But I'm responding quickly and in a brand voice that speaks to my ideal buyer. Number 2 is I make it very easy to set up a discovery call with me, and listen to the last episode that I did about discovery calls, but I make it really easy for them to see the importance of it, get them excited, and able to schedule it with a scheduler link right there in my email. On the discovery call itself, again, I did an episode just a couple weeks ago about discovery calls that will help you tremendously. I am value stacking to show them why I'm the right fit. And every bit of what we talked about in the first half of this episode filters through into the brand of John Bunn Films. I'm not showing up in a hoodie. I am showing up in this studio, which you can see on YouTube, that looks professional, that's lit professional. I'm thinking about my appearance and what it feels like when they communicate with me. I know I'm on camera, so I'm talking and being animated and smiling and all these little things. I'm working that discovery call and learning about them. And I understand the science of selling to people so that they can see that I'm the right fit. After that, I've been sending custom proposals and scheduling second calls before I get off of the first call. And a custom proposal where I've listened to them, and before I get off the call, I'm telling them, we're going to talk again tomorrow. I'm going to walk through these prices with you. These are the extra steps that I've had to take to get these bookings up from 5,000 to 6,000 to 10,000 and beyond. And that allows me to do the last step, which is closing the deal so that I can then begin the process of really taking care of them. And as you can believe, and I'll do some more episodes on this in the future, the process of from when they book me until their anniversary and beyond, they get the John Bunn Films experience. And I have keywords that fit my experience. I have a brand book that says my experience is going to feel luxurious, but also personal. And it's going to feel timeless, and it's going to feel classic, and it's going to feel nostalgic, and it's going to feel like I'm your friend and your helper. And I know all these things, and that's who I am on my social media, in my brand, and all these things stack up. So how do you get these $10,000 or $15,000 or $5,000 bookings? You work this process over time and gradually raise your prices as your work gets better, as your brand gets better, and your networking, your social media. And that is what I'm talking about with this upward cycle. Each wedding season, you're getting better, you're learning more, you're taking that course, you're doing that mentor session, you're elevating your website, you're getting better at social media, you're doing the networking events. And that slowly starts to separate you from the pack, because most people don't do that work. And if that's all you do is you focus on those things, I promise you, you will be ahead of 99% of wedding filmmakers, because they'll either quit or they will just stay in the rut that they are in. They won't do anything different to get a different result. And what I want for you, if you're listening to this is, this far into this episode, you're a person that wants to take action, and you're a person that wants to get better. And so if you do these things and you stay consistent over time, you're going to separate yourself from the pack. And if you're constantly focusing on, like, what's that next thing that I need to be doing? And what are the residual things that I need to be doing? I need to be posting on social media 3 times a week. I need to be showing up in my stories every day. I need to be going to a networking event every month. Just imagine what would happen in 3 years if every month you went to a networking event. So that would be 36 networking events. If every year you took one course and did one mentor session every year, so you'd have 3 courses, 3 mentor sessions. And if you updated your branding every 3 years. Imagine what would happen in that time frame if you were networking, you were social mediaing, you were building the brand, and your work you were getting better with your work every single year. 3 years from now, that's 1,000 days or so from now, you'll probably be charging 2 or 3 times what you're charging right now. But most people give up when they swim halfway across the river and they turn back around, or they take their ball, they go home, and hopefully that's not you. So some markets like Tulsa, where I'm in, they don't have many weddings that are higher than 10,000. So I just wanted to throw it out there. Maybe your market, your network, maybe you need to expand that net. You might have to get out of your local market. And you might decide you don't want to, which means you probably need to do more weddings. And those 4 ingredients that I said earlier, they really are the key to building a $10,000 plus business. You got your social media, your brand, your website, and your work, and then your networking. And so, those ingredients, you don't have to be the best at all of them, but you have to be aware of all of them. So some people build their success by getting really good at one of them. They're really good at networking, so they just get a lot of weddings, or their work is the best work in the world, so people find it goes viral. Some people are just incredible at social media, and their wedding films are okay. And then some people, like, their brand is crazy good. And, it's harder to book a lot of weddings if you just have a great brand. But all 4 of them, I know people that are making lots of money, booking lots of weddings, and are really good at either 1 or 2 of these. My goal is to always be getting better at all 4. So I want you to think real quick about, like, your favorite wedding filmmakers, or maybe the most successful wedding filmmakers and photographers that you know. And ask yourself what you notice about them. And I'm going to guess that they're probably amazing at least 2 of those 4 things, if not 3 or all 4 of them. And you see people that you kind of see them rocket ship up in their business, real fast. They're charging 10, 15K in their first 3 or 4 years. And you look at these 4 ingredients and you say, yeah, they did all 4 of these really well. Or, I've had friends that are really good at networking, and they're really good at branding, and their work is good. It's like a B+, and their work catches up after a few years to a A- or an A+, and they were able to book some of those big weddings because their branding and their networking was really good. And then they filled in the gaps and got better as time went along. They took courses, they learned, they watched YouTube videos, they did mentor sessions so that they could even out those ingredients so they weren't heavy in all the others. So you have to know a couple things. Self-awareness matters a lot. Are you marketable with what you have on your website? When people see photos of you or images of you on your website, do they think, I don't know if I want them at my wedding? And you have to be brutally honest with yourself. I know I'm not a supermodel. Although my mom told me I could model when I was a kid. I know that I'm not, a female. I know that I'm not whatever. I know who I am, and I have to play to my strengths. And so if you're not aware of how you come across, you need to get third party help. You need to ask people, how does this make you feel? Is this somebody you'd want at your wedding? Spend the time on imagery of you, videos of you at a wedding that makes people that are in your ideal market or your ideal buyers, makes them attracted to you. I love walking around in my Lululemon joggers, my yellow Crocs, and my Multiply Media hoodie with my hair all messed up. That's my favorite place to be, on my recliner, in all of those things. Does that speak to the ideal John Bunn Films buyer? Maybe in my stories it would, so they could see what I'm really like. But on my website, the photos of me, I'm wearing J. Crew, and I'm wearing my hair with product in it, and I'm in the right light, and I have my camera in hand, and the video footage of me that I'm showing on my reels and different things behind the scenes at weddings. Those things matter more than we realize, and how we come across, how our brand comes across matters. And that doesn't just matter online. When people see you at networking events, are you a turnoff? Are you a buzzkill? Are you an Eeyore? Do people gravitate towards you? Are you good at communicating? Maybe you need to take a class on how to be better at networking. Maybe you need to get better at that. Maybe you need to get better at being confident in who you are as a human. Like there's a lot of deep stuff that you could work on. I know I need to work on that kind of stuff, but self-awareness matters, and you need to know where you are in your market. You need to know the value of your relationships, your skill level, and your branding, and that will help you determine whether or not you should be charging more or seeing the holes in your brand where you need to be getting better so that you can charge more. Again, most people aren't going to do this, and I've learned that. And so, that's why I'm okay with giving out this information. I'm not worried because most people aren't willing to do those things. And so if you're not investing into getting better in the areas that you're lacking, you are going to be on a carousel and you're not going to be on a gondola up the mountain. You're going to be on this carousel. You're going in circles every single year. You're doing the same kinds of weddings instead of getting propelled up the mountain in your business. So a couple things in kind of closing today. Each new wedding that you book should be more of your ideal buyer type, or at least in the direction of your ideal buyer type, so that you can propel forward. If you don't know what that is, you're going to be going around the carousel. You're just going to keep getting inquiries from people. But the more stingy you get with what you show based off of who you want to work with, the quicker you're going to go up that mountain and start raising your prices. The other thing is you don't need to despise small beginnings. If you're new or if you're in your third, fourth year, I'm in my 19th year doing this. And I know people that are in their fourth year that are charging just as much, if not more than me, or doing weddings. They're better at editing than me, or they're better at a lot of things. That just happens. And so if you're not self-aware and you're too prideful to say, oh, I should be charging this much. But if you're unaware of who you want to be working with, if you're unaware of where you are in your market, you're never going to start going up in your business. And I want to kind of end with a story about a wedding that I took last year. I've talked about it on the podcast a few times, but last year in July, I reached out to a bunch of different planners because I had 0 weddings booked for this year. And I had no weddings booked between July. I was done. After July, I had no more weddings booked. I had bills piling up. And I took a wedding for $7,500 whenever on my website at the time it said starting at $18,000. This was, there was a reason I took this wedding. It was with a planner that I know does the nicest events in town or in the state, some of the nicest. And the couple was adorable and sweet, and they really wanted video, and their wedding was going to be gorgeous. I solo shot the wedding. I gave them a $15,000 package, and I edited it myself. I went next level. I just wanted to do it really well for them. I gave the planner a bunch of reels. I showed behind the scenes, and I just knew that it was going to help propel me. And I knew the couple was ideal, the wedding was ideal, the planner was ideal, and I knew it would lead to more bookings. And it's actually been very interesting because I took that step. It's led to a lot of things. Number one, it helped the planner out. It was great. Within a few months, the planner reached out about the biggest wedding that I have booked this year so far. And I booked it. So it was an immediate deposit and a lot of revenue coming in. I also booked the smaller wedding for this year with them, a $5,200 wedding, something like that, with them. And I was able to secure that booking and book basically a $16,000 wedding, a $7,500 wedding. I'm sorry, $17,000 and then $7,500 booking. That was confusing, but I've been able to get all these bookings. And what has happened is that started this spiral of being able to show things. Whenever I was editing that wedding film, every day I was showing behind the scenes of me editing that wedding film. People started remembering I existed. I was able to put together little reels and little behind the scenes clips of me. And it got me in this momentum to where that planner helped me book another, like that first big wedding of the year. I've hooked them up by booking a smaller wedding. But last month I booked another $16,000 wedding because the couple is friends with this new bride that's getting married, a third wedding. And so basically, because of that $7,500 wedding, I was referred a $17,000 wedding, a $5,200 wedding, and a $15,500 wedding. That one wedding alone has generated me over $37,000 of new bookings. And it has spearheaded the momentum that I have to have now booked these $200,000 worth of weddings. My brand was in alignment. My work was good, but my networking had fallen behind. And in our businesses, sometimes some years we are focused more on other things. You have to always come back to those 4 ingredients. What are the 4 ingredients that build a $10,000 plus brand? And we need to make decisions that don't just feel good today. We need to make decisions that will benefit us in 12 months or 18 months or 24 months. And those 4 ingredients are going to do that for you. That's all I have. I hope that is helpful for you. I hope that you are encouraged by this episode. Send me a message on Instagram at How to Film Weddings. If you have any more thoughts, any more questions, I'm an open book. I'm glad to help you. If you need help with your consultation calls, or if you need mentorship from myself or Nick, there's an actual mentorship tab at howtofilmweddings.com/mentorship. We're here for you. We want you to take it to the next level. We want you to be at the top of your market. We want you to raise above the competition because of the work that you're willing to do. No good things are going to come to you by sitting on your hands and not taking action. So shoot me a message on Instagram. Tell me you listened to this. I hope this information has been helpful. And until next time, we will see you.